So a lot of people have been asking me what's going on with face mask production during COVID-19, during this coronavirus outbreak. And it is a really, really crazy time when it comes to sourcing face masks. I mean, the supply chains around the world have been disrupted. There's a material that goes into these surgical masks called melt blown fabric. And the price of this material has jumped by literally, I think, 300%. And the stock of the company that supplies the vast majority of this fabric, the stock has risen by over 400%. So it's pretty crazy just to see the sourcing environment. I mean, there's different types of masks that we'll talk about: KN95, N95, and surgical, as well as cloth masks. The KN95s, these are the 3M masks that have been approved by the FDA and the CDC. The N95 mask is now also approved by the FDA and CDC. What you want to watch out for is surgical masks. I mean, these are what's pretty standard in a hospital, but they aren't as protective as these other masks. And then when it comes to cloth masks that you're seeing brands sell, those are fashion-driven masks. So they aren't necessarily used for workers on the front line, for nurses and doctors. But especially during this crazy time right now, a lot of nurses and doctors have been using them. So the urgency is crazy when it comes to sourcing masks for protection during COVID-19 outbreak. China is producing over 200 million masks each day. It is crazy. It's 20 times the amount that was being produced in early February. And not only is the supply rate now super high, but the demand is crazy high. There are medical workers who are treating COVID-19 patients without protection, and this is obviously very scary. While the CDC and local governments are considering whether or not to use face masks for all Americans and all people, I think now they have said that we should be. What's crazy, like I said, this company Dawn Polymer made $1.9 billion over the course of 6 weeks through his shares, this entrepreneur's shares in his company. It's pretty crazy. I would say when it comes to mass production, you have to know what you're doing, especially if you're doing for medical workers on the front lines. If you're trying to produce KN95 or N95 masks, you really need to make sure your factory has that FDA approval so they can import their products, because there has been stories of sourcing companies going out, or people going out and try to source these masks, and it's getting stuck at customs. I mean, there are probably a few million masks in customs right now because the importers didn't have the right certificates to move their products into America. So you really have to be aware of what's going on. And one key question that I would ask your factory is you have to be aware of the machine they're using to make this melt blown fabric. So the material to produce that sheen costs upward of $4.2 million a piece. And while mass factories are operating at over 110% capacity, they're struggling to increase their capacity with this demand. So I think the long-term effects here are mass production is going to be at its all-time high ever, and it's going to continue that way through the rest of the year. Is it sustainable in the long run? We'll see. I mean, hopefully, the world gets back to normal and we don't all have to wear masks all the time. But I would be really cautious if you are sourcing masks, and really also question, the long-term sustainability of this business. So always ask right off the bat, where are you getting your fabric for this mask? Because a lot of times factories are using fake or fraudulent fabric to produce those masks. So hope this helps. Sourcify is always here to help you, and hope you learn from this video. Thanks.